The problem is that it's not visible. So obviously, like for instance, you look at me and nobody would say that I'm in pain. And it's very
But you
hard.
You are
I
now?
am. I am. And I mean, 24/7. I've got pain 24/7. And it's hard for people to understand it, which is something that we have noticed, and we understand that it's very hard when you look at somebody who doesn't look ill, understand how bad she is or he is, and it's really, really hard.
And although it's a rare condition, I believe it's even rarer to be diagnosed as young as your daughter
Exactly.
did.
Well, as far as I know, my daughter is one of the first children to be diagnosed with this condition in Gibraltar. It started off in November 24. She just came home with a pain. We'd actually been at trampoline park, and she started with this severe pain. As a parent, you know, give a bit of Nurofen, Tubigrip, go off to school. There's nothing wrong with her, but the pain continued for several weeks. So I took her to see a few clinicians at the time. We had blood tests, we had MRIs, we had ultrasounds. Thing is, with CRPS, none of these tests will show you that you have CRPS. Basically, to be diagnosed with CRPS, there's a criteria called the Budapest criteria, which is basically a list of symptoms, and my daughter ticked all those boxes. Finally, she was diagnosed about a month and a half after, in January. But reason being is because I kept, which I think is really important for parents to know, that I kept a photo log and a diary of events. Because sometimes when I actually went to see a specialist at the time, she may not have had a flare up at that point. So it was hard to show that person what she was going through. So basically, I went to see a pediatrician. She was great in the GHA. She immediately passed on all of the information I had given her to a rheumatologist in London. And the following day they called us and they said, basically, based on the information you have given us, which is why I think it's so important for parents, because you know your child best. And I knew there was something severely wrong. So she was diagnosed and over the phone. And then a month later, we actually got a diagnosis. My daughter was declining very fast. From the commencement of her pain, she was on crutches after a month. And by the time we actually sought overseas therapy, she was in a wheelchair. So we found this therapy, and this therapy was exceptional for my daughter's journey. And after one session, it's a surreal moment to say, but she was walking.
What does it entail exactly, the therapy?
Well, basically, it's very similar to a TENS machine. You know what they use in maternity. It's looked at very like in undervalue in UK, because there's not enough clinical based trials to point out that it's great enough. But it's used they've got it all over America, in all the pediatric hospitals. They've got it in Germany, in Italy where it started, Australia. So we're a little bit behind in that point. Basically, this scrambler therapy, what it does is it's non-invasive, it's painless. And what it does is they put electrodes around the site of pain. And what it does is it scrambles the signals of pain. So your body, the alarm in your body has gone off, whether it's been from an old injury. And what you're doing is you're scrambling. So basically calming the nervous system to let them know that there really isn't any pain. And after 10 sessions, which is what usually this therapy consists of, Monday to Friday, weekend break, then you commence again Monday to Friday. And after 10 sessions, we continued the care that we got from England, which were brilliant because she was still suffering. Her pain went down from a 10 to a 2 after this therapy in Italy. But she was left with something called allodynia. So allodynia is it's basically like a type of hypersensitivity to the foot. And we had to work very hard alongside England to try and help her with the hypersensitivity she had in her foot. So they were great, they were amazing, and I can gratefully say that my daughter's been in remission for 15 months now.
Unfortunately, years back, there was nothing I did have TENS machines and all that, but unfortunately, it's recently that all this has come up. So obviously, I'm far too gone for the scrambler. So obviously, it's just a question of trying to get as best as possible in the sense of the therapy, as in physio and things like that. But I'm really, really happy that at least now, because I wouldn't like her daughter to go through what I have had to go through basically on my own. I mean, I did go to UK and I did see a fantastic specialist and team, and they are the ones who have given me the tools to benefit myself and to be able to be a voice as well on the CRPS. And obviously, when we met, there are things that I do tell her, look, let's do this, because obviously I wouldn't like anybody to suffer the way I have. I'm quite positive. You have to be very positive with this. I was very fortunate to have a very supporting family. That is also the key. And it's just a question of day by day.
I only started this journey basically because Scrambler was amazing for my daughter. We learned a lot from UK, the chronic pain team we have there, and I just wanted to share with a lot of parents who, just so they don't end up and find themselves in such a dark, lonely place that we were. As she was the first child to be diagnosed in Gibraltar, we felt lost for months on end, and the worst thing to see your child in that amount of pain. And nobody give you answers on what's going on. So I started off this journey just to share about her experience, what might work for her, might not work for another. Scrambler has extremely high success rates. It's not like a miracle thing, but it can give you quality of life and lessen your pain, which is, even if it's halved, it's an amazing achievement. So what started out as a journey has ended up in a support network group. And I've managed to, I can gratefully say, help a lot of people. And I've sent quite a few children to Scrambler therapy. I've sent a few people from Gibraltar as well. And I can say they're all pain-free. So it's a big thing. I'm trying to turn a negative situation into a positive one. And I just like to say, like Nadine was saying, sorry, my voice, worst day to come today. I just like to say that early intervention is the key, because early diagnosis, you have a higher chance of remission. In CRPS, it spreads. Not like, for example, like a cancer would spread, but the nervous system is in an overactive state. So if your pain starts in the hand, eventually goes to the wrist, goes to the elbow, and so forth. So like Nadine said, she has been left for so many years in the system like this that her body just learned to just be in that state of alarm constantly. And it's good to see that with my child getting there soon and knowing the symptoms soon, now she has a quality of life. So it's a big thing.